Everything you've been taught about your depression is a lie. This was the dark truth I ultimately realized after experiencing depression for the majority of my life, which then led to me figuring out how to cure my depression for good. That's why in this video, I'm going to be exposing the lie you've been taught about your depression, how it's keeping you stuck, what's really causing your depression, and what you can do starting today to actually cure your depression permanently. Like I stated in the intro, I experienced depression for the majority of my life, and as a kid who was lost, I easily bought into all the common knowledge about depression, that it was a mental disorder, that if I wanted to even think of curing it, I'd likely need to take medication, and that on some level, there was something inherently wrong with me. Looking back, now I can very easily see that this was the biggest lie I'd ever been sold, that depression was unfortunately a chemical imbalance in my brain, a messed up part of me I had to manage, and this lie destroyed my self-image early and caused me to identify with depression and perpetual sickness that I couldn't cure on my own. As a kid growing up to adulthood, this basically led me down a negative spiral into other things that weren't good for me at all. I'm talking about escapism, porn addiction, low self-esteem, chronic anxiety, and more that I wasn't taking responsibility for because a part of me thought that there was just something wrong with me. This mindset caused me to pretty much blame everything but myself, and as a result, my issues only got worse and worse. And if you're watching this video, you likely relate to my story, because I can guarantee that if you're going through depression, you're likely experiencing the same thing. And you may have already have turned to medication, which of course benefits a system of pills, therapy sessions, and industries that all profit off of your pain and keep you coming back instead of telling you how to cure it for good. And if you never do your own research, which of course you're encouraged not to do, you will likely never cure it on your own. Luckily, after I was dumped by the first girl I ever dated, I hit rock bottom. It was one of the worst points in my life, to the point of instead of blaming my issues on the chemical imbalance theory, I started questioning it. And by questioning it, I discovered that the chemical imbalance theory was never actually even proven. It's just mostly been repeated until people believed it. And as I dug further, I started to realize that depression was actually not a mental disorder at all. In fact, it was natural. This realization of my depression being natural and not a curse that signified something was just inherently wrong with me changed everything for me. And it made me realize that I had been lied to, and that you have been lied to as well. This lie being that depression was unfortunately a chemical imbalance in my brain. But now I realized that the truth was depression didn't define me, and it was actually a natural part of me, sending me a message. And from that moment on, I decided I was gonna figure out what that message was. And if you wanna break free from your depression as well, you're gonna have to figure out what your message is as well, just like I did. As much as I wish it was easy to do this, unfortunately, figuring out the message your depression is trying to tell you really isn't easy, because there are things you are doing every day that are preventing you from breaking free and clearly hearing the message your body has for you. Because in order to actually hear the message, you have to be able to listen. But if you're experiencing depression, it's very likely you may as well be deaf, because the things that are currently preventing you from hearing the message is your conditioning, your bad habits, your negative beliefs. In other words, your negative mindset. This negative mindset is preventing you from hearing the message. And on top of all of this, you've likely trained yourself to chase comfort, scrolling, porn, junk food, when you feel lonely, when you feel bad. And this negative loop just keeps you in that same negative cycle that prevents you from hearing the message. Each time you do these things, you're really just hurting yourself and further conditioning yourself to run from the pain. By doing this, you reinforce the cycle that keeps you trapped and move further and further away from actually listening to what you need. This is worsened because the world keeps us numb. Because numb men, we don't challenge the system, and we're easily controllable. In truth, if you're experiencing depression, you are a perfect product of society. You're exactly what they want you to be. This is why it's so easy to end back in the same depressed place, because it's intentional, bro. But that doesn't mean you can't break out of it. And I know it may seem hard, but in order to hear the message, you need to overcome your negative conditioning. And the more of your negative conditioning you're able to overcome, the more clearly you're going to be able to hear the message and discover what your depression is really trying to tell you, because it is trying to tell you something. By the way, if you're tired of just watching videos and you really do want lasting results, sign up for my email list to get my free ebook, Your Hero's Journey. Or you can always book a private session with me. You can find both links below. Of course, that message is going to be unique to you, so I can't tell you what it's going to be, but I can help you get there quicker by helping you understand the actual hidden cause of your depression. Because it's definitely not the chemicals in your brain like they tell you. It's actually the result of your own misalignment with yourself, bro. In the previous chapter, I spoke about your negative conditioning, basically blocking your ability to understand the message your depression is trying to tell you. Well, after I began to clear my negative conditioning, I began to realize that depression is, in a sense, your soul basically screaming that you're not living a life you were meant to live. Think of it like this. When you live out of alignment with yourself, when you're going to the wrong job, when you're practicing the wrong habits, when you're hanging out with the wrong people, when you're doing things that make you feel bad, you disconnect from yourself. And if you're really honest with yourself, you can feel this. You can feel yourself shutting yourself off from your source. And the more you do this, the worse it gets. And as a result, you eventually start to feel depressed. That's why depression isn't random. It's actually inevitable, because depression is designed to act as an intelligent feedback system that is there to push you back towards your purpose. I mean, depression is literally the physical manifestation of the disconnection between you and your higher self and the purpose you're meant to live here. So in reality, your depression is actually trying to help you. It's trying to get you back on track. That's why once you can start seeing your depression as a helping tool, as an intelligent signal that has a message for you, not a random curse that is afflicting you, you can begin to start regaining your power. And for the first time in your life, start listening. And listening really is the first step to curing your depression permanently. Because once you can recognize that the whole reason you're in this mess is not because there's something wrong with you, but because you've simply just been out of alignment with yourself and progressively numbing yourself more and more through the negative conditioning that society intentionally pushes you towards, and your feelings of depression are a literal intelligent signal letting you know your life is off track, guess what? You can finally start getting back on track. Just how you took actions to get out of alignment with who you are over time, you can also get back in alignment by doing the same thing. And you do this by actually listening to your intuition and cutting out people, places, and things that consistently make you feel bad, and then filling that space with people, places, and things that consistently makes you feel good. That's right, curing your depression actually makes you feel good. And in all honesty, can be fun once you're able to move past the negativity. So how are you gonna do this? Well, step one, you're gonna cut the numbing habits. These are things that most men are affected by today. These are things like porn, junk food, endless scrolling on social media, and really any type of escapist tendencies that you have and that you know are unhealthy for you. Because all these things drown out your soul, bro. Step two, you want to rebuild your body. Curing depression is actually really simple. You don't have to go above and beyond here. That's why you just want to incorporate simple things like getting more exercise in, getting daily sunlight in, getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, eating clean food consistently. Because by doing this, you're going to be helping your body. Once your body starts feeling better, your psychology is going to start feeling better as well. Step three, you want to start asking yourself bigger questions. Like, what excites you? What scares you? What feels meaningful? This is effectively shadow work. The whole point of doing shadow work and asking yourself these questions is so you can learn more about yourself. And to know thyself brings wisdom, and wisdom brings inner peace. When you ask yourself these questions, know that the answers will come in the time they're meant to. So just because you don't get an answer right away doesn't mean it's not coming. Just sit with it and wait for something to come. Step four, take small aligned actions daily. Don't overwhelm yourself with trying to do all of this at once. Just start slow and build over time, because your purpose is going to grow through consistency, not inspiration or motivation. By doing all of this, you're going to start to slowly get more into alignment with yourself, and you're going to start to slowly recognize that the more in alignment you are, the less depressed you're going to feel, until eventually you end up completely curing your depression and figuring out the true message your depression was trying to tell you, which will be discovering your purpose, the reason you're here today. And if you really want something to help you cure your depression, then your next step is to watch this video where I talk to you about the best S-tier habit you're going to need to incorporate to cure your depression permanently.